Hello everybody, my name is Del from Delroy Films. Today I'm going to be doing a commentary on a wedding that I did back in January. This was a COVID-19 wedding at a house in Canmore, Washington. So I thought it would be interesting to uncover some of the ideas and some of the themes that were going through my head when I was shooting this wedding. And most importantly, how I was trying to make a house wedding look like any normal type of wedding at the big venues, at the churches. So I hope you find this interesting, and I'm excited to really go into this and dive into detail and explain some of the concepts behind this. So come along with me on this storytelling journey, and let's see what we can uncover. All right, let's go.
On September 5th, 2011, Pat asked said young lady for coffee at Starbucks, and for what I know about history, the love affair took off from there.
So right off the bat, like, if you've probably watched some of my stuff, you would know that I always start off with a speech, just because it just eases the audience into the film. So I'm hoping that I continue that theme, because it's really kind of my style. And so that's exactly how we kicked it off. I didn't want to go too far from my regular concept, and a little bit about the house and about the theme was kind of like I really was thinking about when I was younger, reading like Beauty and the Beast, the story, the imagery, the pictures. That's kind of the feel I was getting from the venue, from this house. So I ended up really just kind of lingering around that topic and trying to pull out that same feeling, if you may say. So it's very interesting how the colors, how the setting of the house, and this particular scene that's coming up next, how that's going to probably bring that story to light. So spoiler alert, I probably should wait until the end to say some of these things. Okay, let's get back to it. All right.
Hot and sizzling is what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true.
That came from Marta.
My name is Tim. I'm Pat's favorite brother, okay? And no matter what brother was standing here tonight, that's how they would start this off, right? So first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody. It's an incredibly happy and wonderful occasion. And
I think this is a good spot to really talk about the lighting in the house. Obviously, this is not a venue, and they're not, this is a house where people live, and they're not really thinking about cinematic lighting when they're, putting lighting in the house. So you have a lot of tungsten, the yellow light, and I'm not a fan of the tungsten lighting myself. So I was trying here and there to put a little bit of, I had an LED light that I had, and I would set it a little bit on the blue side, daylight setting, and I was trying to counteract some of that yellow lighting so it just doesn't drown out the people's, the subject's skin, the skin tones. I wanted them to pop a little bit. So if you check, especially on this particular frame right here, you can see kind of the reflection. It almost like lightning kind of struck and is reflecting, and that just gives a little bit of a contrast. I know a lot of people like to stick with tungsten, and if they arrive in tungsten, just shoot all the way tungsten. I like to give a little bit of a juxtaposition, and to say the least, the lighting was not my favorite, but I try to get around it, and I think on the most part I was able to succeed. So let's keep watching and see what happens.
And I made up a new word. So Pat being the youngest, here's what I remember. Pat was just this happy little guy. He's always amazed to be part of the gang, right? Always loved to play, eager to play, happy to please. He was just loving being part of it, always smiling, all that stuff. So somehow this little guy turned into a big guy, and he grew up. But he didn't change. He's still this happy guy. He's still eager to please. He serves people. He does so much good in this world, and he's an incredible guy. And I know Dad would be so proud of looking down and seeing this tonight. So
I must say, you know, already at this point, I think, you know, if you're listening and watching, you can kind of feel the effect that, you know, the music is having on the particular film itself. And again, you know, going with the Beauty and the Beast kind of like feel, I didn't want to go with music that was going to be too enchanting, like, you know, like the fantasy type of, but this was just right in between. When I listened to this track, it was just right in between, like that kind of, you know, old style, like, you know, fantasy, what's that, Final Fantasy kind of music, and a little bit more modern kind of fantasy. So it was just right in between, and that's exactly what I was looking for. I didn't want to make it too obvious. So hopefully I was able to achieve that, you know, in this particular setting. So let's keep watching and see what else we can uncover.
So that's a big deal.
I think the one thing that stands out for me is I remember when you guys rekindled and then you were like, let's move in, and I was like, okay. But I remember I had my bags and I said, are you sure? Because we went through a lot. So I was like, are you sure you want us to move in with you? And you looked at me and you're like, And then you said, yes, I do. So it's like, when you said that, that was like, okay, I don't know, you have your head on straight. So I was like, you know what you want in life, I guess. So it's like things like that, actually, those like moments were clarification, even for like my mom, but for us too, that like we were gonna be okay. Like, oh, like, I just think like we were gonna be okay and my mom was gonna be okay. So I really thank you for that. Sorry. I don't know, you're pretty cool, so thank you for doing that.
Some people think that.
So I appreciate you a lot. And I know like our whole family appreciates you and your family appreciates you, and we're so lucky to have you.
Lucky to have you too.
Thank you. I know. But yeah, that's all I have to say. And everyone can raise their glass and we can share a toast. Yeah.
Cheers.
As we do start, though, I think it's important for us to just take a moment to acknowledge a couple of very special people, important people in your lives that are.
So now we're transitioning into the ceremony, but I wanted to talk about this walking down the aisle kind of, you know, scene. And I was going for drama. And at the same time, usually I would use a gimbal for this particular scene. Like I like to follow people through, you know, as they're walking down the aisle, because it's just, it brings a little bit more elegant style and a little bit more, you know, clean style to the film. But in this case, because we were doing this house wedding, I wanted to keep kind of the organic feel of being, you know, in a house. I wanted it to have a little bit of a homey feel, a little bit of, you know, just not being in a big space and just being a private setting. Like I wanted that to be more like somebody with a camera at the house was filming the wedding. So, and the movement that was happening throughout the aisle with the dad, you know, the dad of the bride, he was walking down the aisle and people were helping him. and I felt that, you know, all that was going to be, you know, more interesting with the little shakes, and, you know, so going handheld was part of trying to bring out that drama. And then I normally don't use slow motion, but in this case, I felt like it was going to be, you know, the best spot to definitely throw in some slow motion in there, and, you know, kind of glide along and see where the film would take me. And I must say, you know, it was one of the really more interesting parts of the film, because yeah, normally, you know, handheld at weddings is just, a lot of people don't do that. So and this is probably the only case where it would actually apply. So I'm glad that I took the chance and did that in this setting. So, and I think it really just blends in with the natural feel of the film. So let's keep watching here and see what happens.
Not with us today, but that are smiling down on the two of you. Marta, your uncle, Jose Arturo. Pat, your dad, the big FPP, right? Frank Pollock. Both of them would be so tremendously proud of the two of you. And that they would have the same desire that all of us here have, and that is that your marriage be successful, and that the two of you will grow old together. And so, Pat, do you today take Marta to be your lawfully wedded wife? And do you promise to love her, to honor her, and cherish her, keeping only to her as long as you both shall live?
I do.
And Marta, do you take Pat to be your lawfully wedded husband? And he gave me a list of promises.
Yeah. A timeline.
It's a long one.
A lot.
Marta, do you promise to love Pat and to honor him and support him?
I do.
As long as you both shall live.
I do.
And so as we say our vows to one another today, I want you to look at each other and know that the vow that you are speaking is not just a promise that you're making, but it is literally who you are that you are giving to the other person. So we're gonna do the repeat after me vows, right? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
So at this point, obviously, you know, they're gonna go through and, you know, say their vows, and then they're gonna get married and and then kiss. There's really not much more interesting, you know, that's gonna happen after this. It's just a typical wedding. But yeah, you know, I think overall, this was definitely a challenge, and you know, I had a lot of fun filming this, and you know, I've been looking over the internet trying to find a lot more COVID weddings, and you know, I haven't seen anything quite, you know, very nice and natural. I've seen some though, you know, that you wouldn't know, you know, that it was done in the backyard, or it was done in people's, you know, in people's houses. But yeah, so I was just wondering if, you know, if people are still doing this. I know things are about to open up a little bit, but definitely, I mean, these, you know, weddings are weddings, you know, at the end of the day, whether you spend a lot or you don't spend, you know, a lot, you know, if you get a good photographer and a good videographer, you're gonna get the same result, you know. So it goes on to show that it's not really about the venue, it's not really about, you know, the things that you do around the wedding. Those things definitely help, but the story and the spirit behind the event is really what's more important. So, you know, the people that are gonna show up, and, you know, how you know, the photographer and the videographer are gonna put together the story. So yeah, I want to say, you know, thank you to the bride and groom that invited me and gave me an opportunity to film this story. And if you want to reach me, follow my Instagram on Delroy Films, and you know, visit my website at delroyfilms.com to book a wedding. If you know anybody that has a COVID wedding, you know, please share this with them, and I'll be more than happy to film another one. This was definitely one of the fun ones for this year. I got many more coming, but we'll see how it goes, and I'll keep doing these commentaries, so, you know, maybe I can share some of my work with the world, and I have a lot of work that I need to put out there. So thank you for watching if you got to this point. And yeah, see you next time.